chapter number 1. Luke chapter number 1, verse 23 through 25. And let's go here and see how long we can press into this text. And here is the reading of the word of the Lord. Luke chapter 1, verse 23 through verse 25. We are still in the Advent season. And I'd like to press a claim on a thought here. Verse 23, so it was as soon as the days of his service was completed that he departed to his own house. Now after those days, his wife Elizabeth conceived, and she hid herself 5 months, saying, thus the Lord has dealt with me in the days when he looked on me to take away my reproach among many people. Go back again here. Verse 24. Now after those days his wife Elizabeth conceived. Verse 25. And the Lord has dealt with me in the days when he looked on me to take away my reproach among many people. I want to preach this morning from the subject, your moment has come. Let me tell your neighbor, your moment has come.
Yes, indeed.
Time is an interesting commodity. It's an interesting thing. In the business community, they say that time equals money. Time wasted is money lost. But there's something else about time that's just not equal to money. Time also speaks to fulfillment. There are two words that talk about time. The first word is called chronos. Say chronos. Chronos. Chronos is time that is based on chronology. It is time that is based on chronology. It is time that's based on the clock. It is what they call measured time. Say measured time. Measured time. It's time that can be traced to a beginning and to an end. It is a point that can be traced to a beginning and an end. You can see it. It can be pointed out. It is visible. It's called chronos. Chronology. Event. It's events driven. You can measure it. You can measure it. That's how we determine that church starts at 9 o'clock. Why? Because the clock says so. You measure your lateness by the clock. Am I right? You hear 9:30, you're late. That's called measured time. It's time that can be measured. Say time that can be. When a woman is carrying a child, anything past 9 months is considered late. Is that right? So they said that the full time of carrying a child is 9 months. It can be measured. It is stated that it takes 9 months for that child to develop, for that seed to develop into a full human being, into a full operating healthy child. It takes 9 months. It is time that can be measured. Say measured. Measured. It's time that can be measured. It's time that can be measured. So we know where we ought to be because of chronos. We know what we should be doing because of chronos. We know we're getting older because of chronos. Anybody pay me no mind in here? Yeah. It's amazing that when chronos continues to happen and you keep counting those birthdays year after year, you keep telling yourself you're getting old. Chronos tells you that. Teach the lesson, Bishop Porter. So chronos can help you. Chronos will help you to understand when it's time for retirement. Chronos will tell you that it's time to go to the benefits office and check how many quarters you got in. Chronos, time spent in service. I've started on this day. This is my last departure day. I've got 25 years in. It's time for me to go. Am I right about it? But let me help you out on something, my brothers and sisters. Time can also become your enemy.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can.
Chronology of events can also become your enemy. It can work with you, but it can also work against you. Teach a lesson, Bishop. Because what will happen is, if you only measure things based on chronology, you might miss God. You might, let me give you this example. If a woman has not married by 40, then according to the chronology of people, something wrong with her. That's what I'm saying. And in my pastorate, I've seen women who get around 40 and 45 do some stupid stuff. I'm pastor, I've been pastor for 21 years. When they get around that age and they've never known a man legitimately. You feel it? We got children up in here. Don't play with me, hallelujah. Amen. Mary's walking up in here. But somehow or another, when they get to this point, something starts to happen to them. You know why? Because in terms of chronology-wise, the system has said that something is happening to you. You're moving beyond childbearing years. And far beyond childbearing years, you're moving, watch this, beyond your years of attractiveness. And so when they get around 40 or 45, where they used to start praying, Lord, send me a saved man. Lord, just send me a man. Y'all can get involved in it. I didn't come to play this morning. I came this I came to preach. Your prayer changes because of chronology. You find people who love God, who were deeply rooted in their spiritual convictions, all of a sudden start hanging out with jokers. Jokers they never spent time with. Hoodlum, rub rats, druggies and druggiettes. All in the name of doing ministry. You ain't doing no ministry. You trying to stop the clock. And so we find, if you're not careful, you allow chronology to push you into something that's less than best for you. Sometimes you don't become all the person you should have been until you're 50. Which now makes you more desirable at 50 than you were at 30. Now you may have more hips and more bust than you had, but there's something still better about you now than you then. I can't get no up in this church. I can't talk to real people up in here. Yeah. I mean, you don't have all that the 30-year-old had, but you got some sense. You got some money. You got some. So you better off now than what you were. But if you listen to chronology will say that yours.
Yes, Lord.
The other definition of time is this. That's chronos. This is chronos. Chronos. Chronos is time based on eternity. Say time. Time. Based on eternity. In other words, chronos is time that is linear.